Hello everyone, my name is Renee and I'm a product expert here at Upkeep. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through how you and your team can start importing your assets onto Upkeep. You can manually add each asset, but this will just save overall a lot of time and effort by just importing them all at once. So for our agenda today, I'll provide you with a quick overview and demonstration so that you can start importing. First, an overview of the Asset tab. On this tab, you're able to import new data into the app, you're able to export your currently existing data, and you also have the ability to update your currently existing data. The max CSV import limit is 10 megabytes, so if you have a file that's a little bit larger than that, I would recommend splitting the file and importing in batches. We also have 2 levels of asset hierarchy. This includes our parent and child asset. Now on this page, here is a breakdown of the asset hierarchy. As you can see, the child asset are components of the parent asset. So this means you may also be completing work on that as well and maintaining as well. So your assets may qualify as a child asset if your parent asset does not function without it. So for example, that would be if the parent asset is a fish tank. The child asset can be the water pump of that said fish tank. So that's just a general example that you're able to kind of identify the parent and child asset. And I do also recommend when you are going to be importing both parent and child assets to first import the parent assets so that when you will begin importing your child assets, you have the parent asset ID. I will go over that in a little bit more detail later on in the video, but that's just something to note. Now let's begin with the demonstration. As you can see, this is my current asset list, and I have set them up with a specific naming convention. This is set up as the main location, the sub-location, and then the asset name. Now this is important for me and my team because I have multiple of the same asset across different locations. So I want to be sure when I'm creating a work order or when my team is creating a work order that we are selecting the correct one each and every single time without fail. Now this is just going to eliminate further headache in the future, so I would recommend setting up a naming convention just to help keep you organized. So another thing to note here as well is that the parent asset is going to be bolded and underlined, and the child asset will be right below the parent asset, tabbed and also in bold. So for example, here I have plant 1-CA double mixing tank, and then that's the parent asset. So my child asset right below that and tabbed is plant 1-CA DMT motor. So that's just how I have it set up and how it's going to look when you begin importing both parent and child assets. Now let's begin importing. What we're going to do is click on the 3 vertical dots next to the plus asset button here on the top right hand side. We're going to select import. And since we will be adding new assets, we will download the sample template that is hyperlinked to the right of that. So it's going to be here where it says adding new assets and then download the template. Now the template's going to look something like this, and row 1 is the title row, so just please be sure not to edit or change any of that information or else you're going to get an error message. And row 2 is just the sample data, and it's here to serve as a guide to show you how to fill out each column. You can delete that before beginning or afterwards, whatever is easier for you and your team. But let's go over each column. Now let's begin going over each column and seeing what each of them mean. So column A, that would just be the name of the asset, so pretty self-explanatory there. Column B is just the description of the said asset. You can add maybe the make and manufacturer information there, that would be helpful. For column C, that would be the type of asset that it is. Or you can even add the model information for your asset, and then column D would be the barcode, and this is synonymous to the serial number as well, but if you leave it blank you can later assign it to a random barcode within Upkeep. But I do recommend maybe adding a barcode because eventually afterwards you will be able to export your QR codes and actually physically add that QR or barcode to the asset so that you can easily scan it for later use. So I would recommend adding a barcode there, but you can always add it after you import. So you don't need to add that at this time. Then column C would be the area. So if you assign a specific location, you can specify where in that location this is located. So maybe if I have building 1, room 1 in the right-hand corner. So you can maybe just add general information of where this is located. And column F would be just additional information of the asset itself. You can maybe add the measurements or the weight of the asset if that's important for you and your team, but that's just additional information that you can add. Column G would be, this is actually the 10 character unique ID for a specific location that you've already set up in Upkeep. So in order to add this information, you already need to have created the location ID. And then for column H, this is similar to the column G. You need to have the parent asset already created in order to get that ID number. And this is only important for child assets. So if you are going to just be importing your parent assets, you can leave this column blank. And for column I, again, similar. This would be important for assigning specific limited technicians to only view maybe these set assets as well. But again, you need that 10-digit unique identifier of that user to assign it to this asset. For column J, this is the category section. So the categories will just allow you to easily find and group assets in the future and then maybe generate accurate reporting for that. And then finally for column K through P, this is available to our Business Plus plan users. And just going to go over it quickly. Column K would just be the purchase price, the purchase date. And you do need to set it up in that specific format as shown above. And column L would be the service date. So again, that same format. And column M would just be the purchase price, what you bought the asset for. Column N, as in Nancy, would be the warranty expiration date. And again, that same format, the month, day, / year. And then finally, the column O would be the residual price itself. And then column P would be the useful life, so the expectancy of that asset lifespan. So you can add that information there, and that again is available to our Business Plus plan users. And then finally for column Q, this is the team ID number. So again, this is the 10 character unique identifier of teams that you have set up. So maybe if you have electricians set up as a specific team and they should only be able to see this specific asset, you can set them up there, and you do need to get that 10-digit unique identifier for that team. But you can leave that blank if that's not applicable to you. So yeah, that is the columns and what each of them mean. All right, so I just finished adding the information of the assets that I'm going to be importing. And again, if you take a look at the assets I'm importing, same naming convention as I previously mentioned. And if we take a look at row 2, I have column H left blank because this is actually going to be a parent asset. So that's why column H is blank. And if we take a look at row 3, again, same naming convention, but the only difference here is that column H has a parent asset ID number. So this is a child asset, so that's why this is not blank. And now let's go ahead and just import this into our application. Again, we're going to click on the 3 vertical dots on the top right-hand corner. We're going to choose import. And then from import, we already have our file, so we're going to choose file. And let's add the file that we just created. And then just confirm. And yeah, that was successfully imported. So let's take a look. I have the child asset pulled up here, Perfect, that looks great. Again, child assets will be tabbed underneath the parent asset. And let's take a look at the parent asset that we added, the freezer. Okay, perfect. So both pieces of data was successfully imported onto our application. All right, so that was a general rundown on how to begin importing both your parent and child assets onto Upkeep. Now we do have a guide in our help center that goes over exactly what I went through step by step. So if that would be easier, more than welcome to check that out as well. But if you do happen to have any questions, please don't hesitate reaching out to our support team. Thank you and have a great day.